Hello, Lynn. Good morning. Shannon, good morning. Sharon, good morning. Lots of activity here today for me. So, I hope you can hear me well. I don't have my external speaker. So, if I go back here, can you guys hear me if I am back here? Because I'd like to teach from here, teach yoga for osteoporosis. So let me know if I am coming out clear. Yes, okay, good. All right, Lynn, hi. Susan, hello. Great. Hi, ladies. Yeah, I've been definitely lots of activity. I'm leaving today for Yosemite, and I'm leaving right when I finish. So I loaded up my car, got everything ready, and I was trying to finish up some digital aspects of my osteoporosis online course that I just finished this week. And I'm trying to upload that video. It's a 2-hour video to YouTube. I've been up since 5:45. I've tried to do it 7 times and it didn't work. So just until that last minute, it was only halfway through. I'm like, I just can't, I gotta stop it so I could go on. Anyway, so yeah, I'm leaving today. I'm so excited about that. Stevie, good morning. Yoga mates, good morning. Great, okay, let me see. Hamilton hasn't been with us for a while, huh? I think I hear him. Hi, honey, will you come and say hi to everybody? They would love to see you. Look, yes. Oh, we just love you, Hamilton. We haven't seen you for a long time because he just hasn't been here. We let him outside a lot more often now. Could you say hi to everybody, please? Could you say hi to everybody? Yeah, you beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Look. Hi, everyone. Anyway, so I might have to stop to get him out as well. He started coming in again yesterday. So there he is, gonna practice yoga with us. Yeah, isn't he beautiful? He's so beautiful. We look at him and we just tell him how pretty he is. He's also got such a great personality. There's these little corners on one of my cutting boards, these little plastic corners. And it's so amazing. He plays catch. I really, truly, like we've actually recorded it. So my husband made an Instagram for him called Hamilton the Cat. And he jumps up onto the counter. We take this thing, we throw it. I mean, it bounces kind of all over the place. And I guess it makes an interesting sound. He must have about 8 of them. And he meows if you at us to play with him. He catches it, he brings it back. It's amazing. It's like, wow, this is amazing. It's like we have a dog. So he really is a great, great, great cat. All right, so I hope you're all doing well. And then we're going to practice today yoga for osteoporosis. I would like to bring into the practice today a balance aspect, really focusing on the muscles of balance and then challenging ourselves with balancing poses. So that is my intention for today. I hope that's okay for you all, because I really think that bone density is one aspect, and having our bones get stronger is definitely something we want to focus on. And then there's this whole other layer of balance and alignment that's really important. So that's gonna be part of it. And then I just remembered, Stevie, you're in my class on Tuesday. So yes, I just spent hours trying to edit that, and then I got everything else ready that's gonna be sent out. So you'll get that later today. All right, let me see. Yeah, he is a good companion. He's so lovely. Yes. You know how it is, how animals just have this great little personality, and we've definitely had a lot of cats in our years, maybe at least 10 cats over the last 20 years. And it's just so interesting to see the different personalities. It's very similar to people, of course. And it's just so amazing and interesting. All right, so let's, thinking of that word balance, I would like to, I'm trying to think if there's a special way to begin. And then I know most of you that have spoken with me or chatted with me already, just in case there was somebody that was new that is, that I don't see. Maybe Cherry's with us today, by the way, or Lee may be here, or Joy, Steve, I'm trying to think, Angie, thinking of all the people that practice on a regular basis that maybe are not able to chat. And so I wanted to say hi to them. And then if there are people that are watching or watch this recorded and you're newer to the practice of yoga, the practice of human being versus human doing is the very beginning of this practice. And so coming to a place of being is very challenging for us because we don't spend a lot of our time there. We don't understand the value that's in that. And when we can get our place to being, this miraculous package that we live in will do the maximum healing potential that exists within our body and our mind. And that's really important because we are doing. And when we talk about bone density issues, bone density loss is also in that lump of stress contributing to 80 to 90% of all ailments. So right now, let's think about setting up our internal environment to a place where it will build more bone for us so that when we do the asana portion of the practice, the physical part of the practice, we actually will have we will have the proper setup inside. So we'll be in the right zone, the repair zone, so the body will respond. So with that said, this first part of the practice, I'd like us to come into, first of all, of course, whatever floats your boat. And if you like to prop your legs up and be really comfortable, you could do that. For those that want a little spinal support, you could take your blanket and bring your blanket into something that would go behind your spine. You may need a blanket across your head, or you can put the blanket on the floor. So anything is possible. You're at home, and especially when you're at home, you have access to so many more things. One thing I would like to say, though, is when we come down onto the floor with osteoporosis, it's important to be very aware of not rounding the spine. And this is where most of the pressure is throughout our day when we're in this flexion position. So we want to try to minimize that. And if you are using a support under your spine, this is going to help to open up the front of the spine. Leaning to the side, bringing yourself all the way down onto whatever it is behind your back. It's nice to have it just behind the spine. So don't have this in the pelvic area. So my tushy is actually on the floor, and that prop is behind my spine. And for some of you, having more support behind the center of the head will be good. I'd like all of you to begin with knees bent, allowing the spine, the thoracic spine, to actually absorb the pressure of trying to bring in this new shape or the opposite shape of the way that the body lives, or the way that this part of the spine lives, which is normally in a flexion position. So letting the knees be bent will give a little freedom into the low back so that everything doesn't translate down there, which quite often happens. And you may need to support the back of your head. You could take your blanket, make your blanket a little bigger, fold it under, put something else underneath. Let the arms go down alongside the body. And closing the eyes, coming to the place of noticing, the practice of being. So it's almost as if you stand outside of yourself or next to yourself to notice, to become an observer or a witness. And when we do this, we actually can start to work on either shifting or changing aspects of how we're showing up, whether that's through our personality, whether that's learning how to uncover past held trauma and trying to notice how you are showing up, revealing yourself in this lifetime or in this life. So right now, imagine that you're standing looking down at yourself and you're looking at the position you're in. And if there is any adjusting that your visual would tell you to do, go ahead and try that. And let's take the arms out to the side so that we can bring some postural deep stretching here. So I'd like your upper arm bone to be pretty low so that your elbows are relatively close to the waist area. And when the elbows are here, Let's see if you could bring your arms open so the backs of the hands go on the floor. And a lot of you will not be able to do that. So don't worry if you're not able to get your hands all the way down. And if you want to know why, that's part of the rotator cuff allowing the front edge of that shoulder bone to actually rotate, because that's an external rotation position in the shoulder. So it's muscles that are tight, and it is what it is. So allow it to be what it is. Where you may find a little more relief now is if you slide slide the elbows on the floor so that your arms come up a little higher to the place where you feel the right amount of tension for you. Find just right. Find Goldilocks in your stretch. If at any point during this part you notice digestive gurgling or sounds, that's a good sign. That's human being sounds. That's when your digestion takes over and starts digesting whatever you've consumed within the last few hours. And that's good. Let's bring our awareness to our mouth. I want you to notice, is there moisture in your mouth right now? So do a little, almost like you were tasting, like you put a little bit of something in your mouth and you're getting your tongue to rub up against the upper roof of the mouth, and notice if there's a stickiness and a dryness in your mouth, or is there moisture in your mouth? And that's another sign and something to notice about the nervous system and where the stimulation has been in the nervous system. When we stimulate the relaxation zone, when we are human beings, the autonomic nervous system will secrete digestive enzymes in the mouth to digest carbohydrates. This is where we begin to digest our carbohydrates. So noticing that, then bring your awareness to the jaw. Make sure your jaw is relaxed and your back teeth are separated. Bring your awareness to your nose. Mouth is closed. Keep the mouth closed the whole time as you begin to bring the breath into the body, being very aware and noticing all the aspects I'm asking you to notice. And begin to follow the breath to the chest and start to notice all the parts of you that move when you breathe, your whole chest area. And feel that movement. Feel your breath moving up towards the sky. Feel the breath moving upwards towards the sky. And then feel the breath as it moves out to the sides. And then see if you could breathe backwards towards the prop behind your back. Even breathing all the way down towards the lower back. So the lower lobes of the ribs will be pressing towards the back of the floor or the prop behind you, and you may feel a little release in the low back here. So breathing towards the back of your lungs, towards the prop you're resting on, and feeling the movement backwards. This is a harder one to experience and to be conscious of. So breathing back and down. And then bring your awareness to the upward movement of the lungs, so breathing up towards your head. Feel the clavicle bones on the front of your chest expand as you breathe in and up. And then you're going to bring your awareness down, and you're going to breathe all the way down to the lower ribs. Feel the belly slowly rise as you breathe in and down. And be very aware of what's happening in your body. So you're in the place of feeling and noticing. Try to notice all that you can. As you breathe in down towards the belly, feel the belly expand. Down, back, up, sides, everything, everywhere. Feel all the movement you can experience and feel in your body. When we're in the place of feeling, when you're in this conscious place, you bring yourself out of the zone that happens in the background, that chronic stress zone. You bring yourself to the present moment, to the place of being. And this transmits to the nervous system exactly what's happening. Is it safe or is it not? And when you slow down your breath and even out your breath, you send a signal to your nervous system that everything is okay, the coast is clear. Go ahead and digest, repair, heal, build my bones. Build brain cells, muscle cells. Take 3 more breaths like this, fully aware, fully integrated into this moment. If your mind keeps running away, bring it back. Bring it back to the place of feeling and noticing and experiencing and being. Finishing up your last breath, slow and deep, intentional, full of human beingness, full of feeling, full of awareness. Bring your awareness to your fingers and your toes. Start to bring some movement into the fingers and toes, the ankles and the wrists. Take your arms overhead, stretch. If you'd like to straighten your knees, you can. Straightening the legs, unbending the knees, whatever feels appropriate for you. Just feel yourself into this. Keep the eyes closed if you can. Almost like that morning yawning where you wake up and you reach your arms overhead one at a time, stretching your body glove, letting your body direct where it wants to go. And then we're going to bring ourselves onto the right side. And then bring your hand in front of you as you slowly bring yourself all the way up, leading with the shoulder. So I like to explain something here about the nervous system that runs throughout our body, and it's what stimulates muscles. It does so much of the activity that's inside the body. And there can be aspects, imagine it being like a whole roadway system throughout your body, a communication roadway system. And the nerves are like cars that are driving to places. And that's what's stimulating and creating this activity in our lives, in our body, and in our mind. And what I would like to say is that if we develop dysfunctional patterning in our body or something doesn't work anymore, it's almost like maybe there was a roadblock, maybe there was construction taking place on this off ramp and you didn't get off this off ramp for a while. And now that off ramp, your body doesn't have that memory of it anymore. So when we do this subtle feeling aspect of breath and of bringing your awareness to certain body areas, it can really help if you've developed dysfunctional patterning in your body or if you've had an issue or an injury. And then I'm going to say, for our purposes, if those don't exist for you and we're speaking about bone density, bone health, and the muscles that move the bones, that the aging process, we stop to stimulate, the nerves stop communicating, they stop going off of these off ramps to certain areas of our muscles. So we're going to try to be very aware and bring our mind into our body to the place of feeling and noticing. And if you notice a nook or a cranny or an area where you don't feel as much as you used to, bring your awareness there with breath and with movement to try to stimulate that activity and that action again in that part of your body. Let's bring ourselves onto our knees and take yourself onto your hands and your knees. And if you'd like to crawl forward and backward a couple of times to deeply set the joints, depending on whatever you began the practice with today. And then bring yourself to a static holding place. Let's come into a cow position, which is an extension position, creating a deep well in the spine area so that if there was water being placed in your back, it would pull in the low back, and now try to get it to pull in the middle back behind the ribs. This is your inhale. As you begin your exhale, you're going to contract your core, point your tailbone down, allow the flexion to only come in the lower back. So don't let the rib cage move. Let the low ribs and the low back come into a flexion position. So the tailbone points down, and you should feel a really nice stretch when you do this. You're going to inhale into your full extension position in your entire body. Then you're going to exhale by contracting your core and lengthening from lower ribs, tailbone pointing down towards the ground. Inhaling into your extension, and then exhaling into your flexion in your lower lumbar. Let's bring yourself back here. Let's go ahead and take your hands and shake your wrists. Shake, shake, shake. Okay, I just noticed a straight pin on my floor. Don't ask me how that got here, but there was a straight pin on my floor. I mean, like a real pin that somebody could have stepped on. So I saw that and I thought, I've got to get it. All right. So let's take the hands and shake the hands. We're going to come into the first balance pose called spinal balance. And this is to fire up the back body to get everything in alignment. And the weight on the wrist is important if you have bone health issues, because part of fall prevention is to strengthen the wrist. So I want you to move your wrists pretty far forward and then move your weight back so you come out of your wrists. And this is for you to understand that when you push your body weight back, you're not loading in your wrists, and it minimizes the flexion in the hands. Keeping our wrists strong is important for aging. It's important for bone health. You're going to inhale forward, loading up, and exhale back. So I want you to know that you come to this back place if you're feeling too much intensity in your wrists. If you could bring your wrists directly underneath your shoulders, do that. Your knees and lower legs are hip distance. Keep your nose pointing down towards the ground, and let's inhale, right hand out, left leg, and lift them off the floor in the inhalation. Exhale to tap them down. Inhale to lift them up. Exhale to tap them down. Inhale to lift up. Exhale to tap down. One more time, you're going to inhale to lift up. Stay here. Reach your hand away from you. Reach your leg away from you. Roll your leg in the socket so that the sole of the foot points up towards the sky, and especially the arch of the foot is pointing up towards the sky. Thumb is up towards the sky, hand is in. If you'd like to challenge yourself a little bit here, even though this is the beginning of the practice, you can lift that right foot off the floor, deeply contract the pelvis, and bring a little bit of that flexion into the lower lumbar that we were doing. where you point the tailbone down, you contract the core, pushing the belly up towards the spine. Take one more breath, and then bring yourself down. Take the right hand underneath your shoulder, slide the left hand away, the right leg, inhale to lift, exhale to lower. Go slow, push your right fingertips into the floor so that you distribute the weight that's in your right hand. Exhale to lower. Inhale. Exhale one more time. Inhale to lift. Stay here. Contracting your core, lengthen so the tailbone is pointing down, the belly pushes up. You add that core contraction, which brings a little flexion into that lower lumbar. Thumb is up towards the sky. Make sure your foot is pointing up towards the sky, the arch. And if you'd like to practice taking the left foot off, the good news about practicing balance like this is that you are close to the floor. So if the hand falls down or the foot, you're so close to the floor here. I've never had anybody injure themselves in this balancing cat pose or spinal balance. Take one more breath and then bring yourself down. Coming up with the wrists, let's take the wrists and shake the wrists. So if you can bend your knees, I'd like you to flip your toes under and come into a sitting on top of your feet to stretch your feet. We're going to do a wrist stretch, which is a pose that was added by Dr. Fishman to his second series. Even though it's not really a pose, it's a way to strengthen the wrist and create stimulation in the wrist. So if you could sit on your feet, and if not, stay in that up position. So bring your hands forward and the backs of the hands face each other. The thumbs are down to the floor. So your palms are facing away from you and the backs of the hands are together. So click the backs of the hands together. The fingernails would be touching here in this position. And then you're going to take your left hand over your right hand. And then palms touch each other, clasp your hands. Lower your shoulders. Slowly bring the hands through center. Go slow here because you're creating rotation in that left wrist and you need to make sure that feels appropriate for you. So go to where you feel the appropriate amount of tension in your wrist joint. Elbows are down, they could be separated. Make sure they're not right up against your body. So try not to let them rest on your chest. Push the wrist away from you. You could lower your hands to make it more intense. Be in your wrist here, be in the place of feeling and noticing. If your feet are stretching, notice what feels appropriate there for your feet. And then let's go ahead and come out. If you need to take your feet, if your toes are bothering you, you can come into sit on top of them. And then of course, if you need to be up here, be up here. Do whatever you need. Take your hands, backs of the hands are facing each other. Fingernails are touching each other in this. Thumbs are down to the floor. Shoulders are lowered. Now you're going to take the right hand over the left and clasp. So the palms are facing each other. Lower your shoulders and go slow here. Bringing your hand down, through, up and around, creating that stimulation here on that right wrist. And I didn't mention this on the other side, but maybe you're able to bring your arms all the way through if that's available for you, if that's what you need. It's creating rotation in that wrist. So feel what's appropriate for you. Hand can come down, away from the body, elbows are out to the side. And be here with your breath. And take one more breath. And then let's go ahead and take your hands, let's shake your hands and move your hands around. Release that tension from the hands, move the wrists around. Keeping these wrists nice and strong and mobile is important. And then if you've had issues with your wrists, where you've broken your wrist or had issues, of course, bringing your awareness there, going really slow, maybe breaking up some scar tissue with your thumb. If you do any kind of massaging, the self-massage that's taught in Ayurveda is the Abhyanga. is taught with circular movement. So doing circle, you could do that right now on your wrist since we just stretched them. You move around in a circular pattern. Let it be your hand that's moving around your wrist. Your hand moves around your wrist. And just bringing a little bit of love energy to the wrist. So we'll go on the floor to do a couple of the poses down here and then also to do a little bit of core awareness. I'd like you to have a block handy for this. So you're going to need a block for this and a blanket. And the tushy comes on the floor a little bit away from the blanket, coming to the side, making sure we minimize flexion in the spine. Reach your hand away and come all the way down onto the ground. The blanket is underneath your head and your neck, not your upper back. And that's something I notice often is when people have the support under their head, they also have it underneath their shoulder area. So have it underneath the neck and head area. Let's take the block between the legs. So let's use the analogy today of a juicy navel orange. And I want you to think about a pretty big orange. It's as big at least as your fist. And it's very, very juicy. And you're going to squeeze the heck out of that orange to squeeze all the juice out. So that orange lives in your belly, right on top of your spine, in the deepest part of you. So it's not seen here on the top. And when we squeeze this orange, we're going to squeeze from top to bottom. And we're going to squeeze in from side to side. And then we're going to press back to try to flatten that orange towards the floor. So let's think of that when we're doing our core. Take your block between your knees or something that can engage the adductors. Could be a rolled up towel or a blanket. Arms are out to the side. Let's keep the feet block distance or towel distance, whatever you have between your knees. Squeezing that block. Feel those inner thigh muscles turn on. That's what's important here. Elbows are up to the side. Take an inhale. As you exhale, contract your core, squeeze the heck out of your orange, press that orange towards the floor, squeeze as much juice out of that orange as you can. Keep your elbows out to the side and the nose goes straight up towards the sky. And then you're going to slowly inhale to lower. Exhale, squeeze your orange, flatten your low back into the floor. Inhale to lift. Elbows stay out to the side. So this is not about how high can you lift. And it's your upper body coming off the floor, not the lower. Exhale to rise, lift, squeezing, lifting, elbows are out to the side, inhale to lower. So those first three had low back pressing into the floor. Now I'm going to ask you to isometrically strengthen your core. So in the natural curvature of the lumbar spine. So this time we're going to squeeze our orange, which sits in front of your spine, but you're not going to push back and flatten the low back. You're going to lift up, lift down, lift in, and squeeze the heck out of that orange without moving the lumbar spine. That's isometric abdominal strengthening. Let's take an inhale here. As you exhale, squeeze the block, lift your body up. You will not come up as high when you do this, and that's okay. And then slowly inhale to lower. Exhale, squeeze the block, contract the core, lift the upper body off the floor. Inhale to lower. Exhale to rise. Inhale to lower. Let's do one more. Exhale to rise. Stay here for a breath. Inhale. Reaffirm everything on the exhale. Inhale to lower. We're going to do two more of those. Exhale to rise. Don't let the low back press into the floor. Stay here. Sip the inhale in. On the exhale, reaffirm. And then inhale to lower. Last one, contract the core. Exhale to rise. Squeeze the block. Squeeze the orange. Sip the breath in on the inhale. Exhale, reaffirm everything. And then inhale to lower. Let's take the block. Bring one knee in, bring the other. Take the block between the lower legs. So the block is on this block. You don't have it on the thin side. Have it on the medium side. And feet are flexed. So we're working a lot with core strength because when it comes to balance, this is like the fulcrum of the body where everything emanates from this part of our body. Let's take the legs into a tabletop position. Now, knees right above pelvis, more challenging. Knees, let's everybody bring your knees into your chest for a second. Notice how the pelvis posteriorly tilts, the low back presses into the floor. It's easier to move from this position if you're new or nursing an injury or whatever. It's easier to do it from this position. It's a little more challenging to have your legs right above your pelvis. Choose what's appropriate for you. Palms are down to the floor, flex your feet. Inhale, let your legs go over towards one side. Squeeze that orange to bring your legs back to center. Inhale to let your legs go to the other side. Squeeze the orange to come back to center. Inhale. Exhale back to center. The other thing is, if you want to do a little more challenging, you could straighten the legs or move them towards a straight position. So choose what's right for your body. Be inside your body so you could feel what's right, and make sure you have that core contraction. You inhale to lengthen to the side. You exhale to contract to bring back to center. Let's do 2 more. Hopefully you remember which side you began with, because I'd like you to end with the opposite side. And then bring yourself back to center. Take the block out for a second. Bring your knees into your chest. Let's take the feet on the floor. Take your feet wide all the way off the mat, so the heels are on the mat, the feet are off, and bring your arms into a scarecrow position. Allow the knees to go side to side slowly. So stretching the waist, stretching the hips, stretching the hip flexors. So you'll probably feel this down your thigh, and one of the quadricep muscles is a hip flexor muscles, a rectus femoris. So you may feel it all the way down. It's a really lovely stretch. This is the windshield wiper, one of my favorites. I'd like you to think about your lower body is rotating independently of your upper body. And when your knees go over to the side, it's not about going towards the floor. It's about going over and away from you. So there's a length. Your pelvis tilts to the side and then creates space between your waist and your pelvis. So try to feel this in your body. This feels yummy to me. The next time you come over to the left, I'd like you to stay there. So stay at the left, reach your right hand away and lengthen out that right side of your body. So see if you could push that right front hip up towards the sky, reaching that right knee away from you. Flex the wrist if you can, reach out of the heel of the hand. Always try to be do the maximum that you could do for your body when you're showing up to your practice, and doing the maximum that's safe for your body. So it's not about what does the pose look like, it's what does the pose feel like. And the perfect version of the pose is the perfect version that your body can put you in or allow you to come into. Let's slowly bring ourselves back to center. We're going to find this length on the other side, allowing the knees to come over towards the right, and then flexing that left wrist. Lengthen your left side body. Let your right be soft. Find that length in your body. Lengthen the knee away. Flex the wrist. Really lengthen out the side of your body. And take one more breath. Bringing yourself back to center. Let's do the bridge pose. This is a really powerful pose for strengthening the back of the body, which is supportive for posture and supportive for balance. We need to take the blanket away from the back of the head. We'll do a couple of flowing bridges before we come to a static held bridge. Take your feet a little bit away from your body at first. Arms are overhead, thumbs touch the floor, palms face each other.
Let's try to find as much articulation in the spine as possible. There's 26 bones that move. In between each bone is a vertebral disc, looks like a jelly donut with fluid. Let's try to compress the front of the bones and the back of the bones to get the fluid to squish forward and backwards. Palms face each other, fingertips are reaching back, thumbs are touching the floor. You're going to squeeze the block. Feel that activation as you gently contract the orange when that happens. You'll feel that coming up into the pelvic floor and then into the core. Inhale. As you exhale, squeeze the block. Let the low back touch the floor so there's a tilting backwards of this pelvis. Then you squeeze the tushy, bringing the awareness there. Lift the body off the floor as you exhale. Lift the back of the ribs all the way up to the heart. Not any farther than the heart though, and then inhale to lower. So we're not going too big yet with your bridge, trying to articulate your spine here. Begin by letting the low back touch the floor, peeling the spine off the floor, squishing the fluid towards the front part of the spine, and on the exhale, trying to squish the front part of the spine to let the fluids squish towards the back. And feel that undulation of your spine as you move through inhales and exhales. Go slow. This also is good for shoulders because the shoulder blades don't get to help this arm bone move too much here, and it puts movement patterns in the bone without the shoulder coming to the rescue. And therapeutic also for shoulders, especially if you go slow. Notice what you notice, feel what you feel, so that you could really be in the being part of your practice. The next time the arms come all the way up, stop. Bring the arms down, the body's on the floor. Walk the feet as close as you could get them to your body. Lengthen the back of the head so you could pick your head up. Find that occipital ridge. Chin is towards the chest. Back neck is nice and long. Hands are down alongside the body. Walk the feet to a neutral position. Squeeze the block. And then posteriorly tilt the pelvis so the low back comes to the floor, edge of the pelvis touching the floor. Squeeze your block and then squeeze your tushy and start to peel the spine away from the floor. When you're near the lower ribs, you could slide the shoulder blades closer to lifting your rib cage away from the floor. Don't look side to side. So keep your eyes closed, chin is to your chest. Just listen and find this in your body. Find this extension or back bend in your body. Lift your heart up towards your nose. If you know how to clasp, if you could reach under and grab your fingers and slide your shoulder blades closer to your spine, try that. If you don't have that access, bend your elbows. Let your upper arm bone be on the floor. Point your fingers up towards the sky and the palms face each other. Squeeze your buttocks, squeeze your block, lengthen your knees away from you. Lift your ribs away from the floor. Lift your heart towards your nose. Feel where the body weight is in the upper body. It should be in the side of the head and neck. Really be in this with a strong contraction. Take one more breath. And then when you come down, it's really slow. So you soften from the top, starting to allow the spine to come down one vertebra at a time. When you get towards the lower ribs, you can lift your heels off the floor. Posteriorly tilt the pelvis. So you try to press the low back into the floor before the pelvis reaches. And then allow the pelvis to rest on the floor. Let's take the block to a supported bridge pose here. Push your feet into the floor, lift your pelvis up. Let the top edge of the back of the pelvis touch the block. So the back edge of the top of the pelvis touches the block first, and then you let your sacrum rest on the block. This will deeply stretch muscles and ligaments and aspects of your pelvis. So when we want to have this nice balance in the body, it's important to have the fluidity of the spine, the mobility in the spine, and then also to have the strength in the body. The bridge pose strengthens that whole aspect of the body. And when we did the balancing cat today, that was a part of it as well. So now here in the support bridge pose, we are strengthening the heart by allowing the fluids to come back up to the heart. And now the baroreceptors in the carotid arteries and the aortic arch are experiencing and noticing that increased volume. So this is nice and balancing for the nervous system and balancing for the cardiovascular system. And we want to have that harmony inside our bodies. Maybe not something that you would normally think about when we're speaking of the word balance. We usually think of balance as balancing on one leg or something like that. Here, balancing your internal environment so it stops breaking down, whether that's breaking down bone tissue, muscle tissue, or anything else that's inside the body that is not in a perfect harmonious place. So balance inside helps us in our quest for strong bones and strong muscles. Let's take the legs up towards the sky. If being elevated on a bolster doesn't feel good for you or a block underneath you, you could come on the floor to do this. We're going to start to stretch the feet so when we come up, we have some activity and sensory aspects in the feet. Let's inhale to point the feet and exhale to strongly flex, articulating that ankle joint. Inhale to point and exhale to flex. Inhale, point, exhale, flex. Pointing and flexing. And then keep your legs spread a decent distance here as you do slow circles. And this is when the yoga orchestra, if we were all together at a class, we may hear each other's joints making their music. Crack, snap, crackle, pop. Like the Rice Krispie guys. Go in the other direction. Now I have heard that this could be good for varicose veins. Of course, that's not proven, but it does make sense that if you take away the downward gravitational force on those little valves in the blood vessels, that it could be relieving in some way. And then go ahead and bend your knees. Let's put our feet slowly on the floor and then push your feet into the floor to lift your body up. Placing your body gently down on the floor, drawing one knee at a time, and then bring yourself to a happy baby. So the knees come into the chest, pull them in deeply. If you'd like at this point to put the blanket underneath your head, you can, or you could stay here and then unbend the knees to come into what's called a happy baby. So in my class, in my studies now with my teacher in India, he said that the yogis were always trying to do things the opposite of the way that they were being done, which is really a neat concept. So if we stand up and we always have gravity pulling blood down into our vessels, and then we notice the vein walls break, or those little, whatever it is, the part of it that stops letting the blood stay there so that we get those varicose veins. It does make sense that turning upside down might reverse things or stop the process from happening. So this is called an inversion, when you raise the pelvis or the legs or the heart above the brain, whenever something is raised above. Of course, the queen of all of those poses, or king is what they say, but I'm gonna say queen, is the headstand, which I don't even do. I won't do it anymore. I don't like to be upside down. All right, let's roll on to our right side. And then using your hands, slowly bringing yourself up. Notice what you notice. Maybe you feel the strength from what we've done already, strengthening the muscles of alignment, balance, posture. And we are going to do a plank pose, a 1-minute plank pose, because this is tremendously strengthening for the body and very supportive of the balance aspects of our body. So it's your choice if you'd like to come into a dolphin or a 4-round plank. You could come into this regular plank or even a modification. So I will do the full plank and you do whatever you would like to do. Flipping the toes under, you're going to bring both legs up. Find this in your body in a nice strong fashion. Feel that all 5 toes on both feet are touching the floor, and really make that connection with the pinky toes if you're in the full plank. Press your heels back. There is the ability here to have the body weight go forward and back, like the all fours position that we began today with when we were rocking forward and back. So really push your body weight back so that you have that weight in the lower extremities and in the upper. And then that is a 30 seconds for those of you that would like to come down if you're doing a 30-second plank, which is a pose that's used in bone health and bone strengthening. Press your fingertips into the floor so you distribute that weight. Push your hands into the floor. Feel your resistance against gravity as you push yourself away with your hands and with your feet. Feel the strength in the pose, and then find the length in the pose. Lengthening out your heels, lengthening out your head, and then let's go ahead. Come down. Shaking your hands. It feels so great to feel strong and to feel like you have some, I don't know if control is the right word over your balance, but just having this strength in your body as you move around and you feel so much stronger in your body. It's a lovely feeling to have that. And so all of these poses that we're doing, the plank, the core work that we did, the bridge pose, strengthening so many aspects of what keeps you in that nice alignment for that communication up and down your proprioceptive nervous system of where you are in space for balance. So all of this combined together makes this beautiful balance aspect of our body. Okay, so we're going to come from here to a standing position. So let's take your props off to the side before you come up so that you don't have to bend down too much to get them. You may need to bend down to get your blanket. So you could take your blanket at this point and move your blanket off to the side, unless your knees can't stand even 1 second being on a surface. Then bring a foot forward, flip the back toes under, bring yourself forward and up slowly, slowly to a standing position. If you have balance issues, grab a chair or grab a wall. I guess you could even grab a friend if you're practicing with a friend, having somebody nearby to lean on. And then let's bring ourselves to a mountain pose. This is a pose of alignment, and it is when we're in proper alignment that the balance aspect of the body is at its maximum. When the joints are perfectly stacked, the muscles on either side can keep you in this linear position. So looking down at the feet, you want the toes to be pointing forward and hip distance apart, which is closer together than what you would imagine. And of course, if this puts you into a precarious, uneasy position, it's good to have a chair near you or a wall behind you. And then we're going to push our body weight side to side. So I'd like you to feel, but I want you to go slow so that maybe you're actually becoming aware of what parts of you turn on when you do this. So you go side to side, and the communication comes up here, and that's experienced in the side of the body. And you can feel that if you go slow and you bring your body awareness to you bring your awareness into your body, increase your body awareness. And bring yourself forward. Go slow so that you feel yourself slowly coming forward to your toes, and notice if you feel the core starting to turn on, and push your body weight back to your heels.
and notice what you notice. This is a good thing to do throughout your day so that you make sure that your car, that it's actually going off ramps and testing areas that maybe it hasn't gone in a long time. That analogy I gave, that the nervous system is like a highway system and you're like it's the nerves of the cars, and making sure that we go down all the roads to keep all those pathways communicative for balance. Now find yourself in the center, bring your awareness to your feet. There's 12 areas on the feet. They're not specific. So it's not, I'm not talking about acupressure or anything like that. But imagine that there were 12 points on your toes. One day I'll learn how to speak. Imagine there were 12 places on your foot that you could actually have the pressure of your body just being supported. And then down the center, you're going to make a line down the center. So there's 6 spots in the back of each foot. I want you to find those. Find one in the center of the heel, the inner edge of the heel, a little bit above that, and then around the back and the side of the foot. So you're in the back of the foot. Now bring your awareness to the front of the foot. Feel each pinky toe, second, third, fourth, and then extra pressure on the big toes. Take your hands down alongside your body, reach them down as if they have weights on them, and slowly let the thumbs move to the side, palms are open. Bring your awareness to your juicy orange and squeeze from the bottom up, top down, sides in, and push it back towards your spine. Let the tailbone lengthen down right in between the 2 heels at the bottom. Bring your awareness to your ribs and then to the top of them, the clavicles. Let the clavicle bones lift up. So lengthen your ribs, squeeze that orange, and then make sure your head is on top of your spine. So push your head back, push your arms back so they're alongside your body. Center of your head, imagine there's a string lifting up towards the sky. So I want this to be strong. You're not just hanging out here. I want you to feel all the muscular action as you find this alignment, stacking your joints from your feet all the way up. Bring your awareness to the feet, press the big toes in, lift your kneecaps up, feel that action. Maybe nothing too much happens, but you're activating those quadriceps when you do that. And then squeeze your orange, lift your rib cage, lengthen your spine, lift your clavicles. Your chin is parallel to the floor. Your head is nice and tall. Your fingers are reaching down and long. Press your hands back. Take one more breath. And then slowly, as you come out, I want you to feel what happens to your body, where you feel the tension release, what happens to the hands. Let's do a little challenge now. You're going to take your right foot in front of your left foot. So the back of the right heel touches the front of the left toes. And the toes are pointing forward, so make sure there's no external rotation. You don't have your feet pointing out to the sides. Bring your body weight forward and then bring your body weight back. So you're in your back foot, which is your left foot. Be in your left foot. Press your left big toe into the floor like crazy and notice the dancing in the heel. Come onto your right tippy toes. Take your right knee out to the side. Bring your right foot up in between your ankle and your knee. Bring your arms out to the side in your tree pose. Grab the floor with the left foot. Lift the left kneecap. Contract your core. Lift your chest. Find mountain pose in your tree pose. Arms are alongside your body, pressing back. Chin is parallel. Chin is in alignment. Head is on top of your spine. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Look straight ahead at something that doesn't move, a dot or a spot on the wall across the room. Take one more breath. Bring your hands together. Squeeze your hands together, squeeze the fingertips together, squeeze the palm together, lift the elbows, lift your body here, and then let's slowly come out. Take your feet and shake your foot. Shake your leg. So see if you notice that left foot. That was a long time in your tree pose, and there was a lot of foot work that took place there, a lot of ankle. So strengthening the ankle, strengthening the knee, strengthening the hip. Tree pose is one of the original 12 poses. The mountain pose is part of the second series. And we're going to come and do the same thing on the right. So find your mountain again. So starting off with mountain, it's in almost all poses or is in all poses. So that alignment position to begin with. And then you're going to bring your body weight to your right foot, bring your left foot right in front of the right. So the heel actually touches the big toe, the right big toe. And both your feet are forward. So you don't even need to look down. I want you to feel that in your body. Or if you need to look down, look down. Bring your body weight forward. Bring your body weight back. Now you're in your right foot. Hands are down alongside your body. Find mountain pose. Feel that, and then come onto the left tippy toes. Left knee moves out to the side, and bring the left foot up on the lower right leg, in between the knee and the ankle. And lengthen out of this. So make sure you're not dumping into that right hip. Press the right big toe in the floor. Feeling the ankles dance, feel the activity of that right foot. Be nice and tall, your chin is parallel to the floor. You could bring your arms up into scarecrow. Make sure you don't lift the top shoulders up. Press your hands towards the back. And feel the weight in the right foot. Where is it? Grab the floor with the foot. Be tall. Look at something straight across that does not move. A dot, a spot, something. And then bring your hands together. You're going to push your hands together. So feel the pinkies, feel the ring fingers, middle fingers, pointers, thumbs. Feel the center of the palm, and then feel the heel of the palm pressing towards each other. Nice and tall here. And then go ahead and come out. So that was 1.5 minutes in your tree pose. So let's say that was three trees in one. 3 for the price of 1. We usually do a 30-second hold. We came in slowly, and slow is harder. And I think what just dawned on me right now, I used to always think that people would move quicker through things because they wanted to prove that they weren't losing it. And especially some of the older ladies that would come to class, some of the more fragile women that would come to class when they first started practicing with me, everything was so fast. And I always thought they were trying to prove something. But what I'm really realizing now, and what they probably don't realize, is that slower is harder. And so we do move. Is it that we're moving fast because we're not using our mind and we're not really in that moment? Or is it that we think we're trying to prove something? Because if you really want to prove something, go slow. It's a lot harder to do that. Let's take our body side to side. Let your hips come up and down. Let your knees bend. Let's move side to side. And then take your hands on your hips and go around in circles slowly. This is moving that hip joint and socket. So go slow. Notice what you notice, especially for those of you that have hip issues. This is a circular movement, forward, back, and sides, moving around the hip joint. It's okay to me whatever way your feet are. If you could get to the place where your feet are pointing forward, that would be ideal. Go in one direction and then do this in the other direction. Clockwise and counterclockwise. So there's one more pose I'd like to do that's a balance pose. It's pretty challenging. It's called Ardha Chandrasana half moon pose, one of my favorites. You could use a chair or you could use a block. I recommend a wall or a chair. So I either recommend that you're near a wall You could also do this pose. This pose is either, so it's a single leg. This is going to be Ardha. Okay, so you can do it on a chair. And if you are feeling precarious with your balance, you could do it like this in the center of the room with a chair. You could be near a wall. You could do it with a block. We'll go to the left side first. You could do it in the middle of the room with a block. It's a lot more challenging to do that. So choose whatever is appropriate for you. We'll do left leg first. So take your left foot, pointing your left foot, it would be parallel to the wall if you're at the wall, or pointing towards the chair or the block if you're using the chair or block. You're gonna load up that left foot, contract the core, squeeze the heck out of your orange, and then bring yourself up. If you need to be on a chair, you could be on a chair. Bring your right hand in the air, grab the floor with the foot. Feel the left big toe pressing into the floor and all parts of the foot pressing into the floor. So the Tadasana here, reach that left foot away from you, line up that whole left hip, line the chest up, the spine stacking on top of each other. We are actually still in a mountain pose. We're just externally rotated in that left hip joint. Keep that right leg lifting so you feel that lateral chain having to work here. Chest is pointing forward. Take one more breath. And then you're going to bend that left knee, bring yourself out of that. We'll go to the other side. Making sure that you choose what's appropriate for you. This is a lot of hip joint stimulation today, which is our area we really like to create that stimulation in for bone health. The right foot faces towards the block. You're either going to come onto the block or the chair, contract your core, squeeze the orange, lift that left leg nice and high, and you're either on the chair, you're on the block. If you're against the wall, let your body touch the wall. It'll help you with strength, or bring yourself away from the wall, which is a little bit more about balance. So here, this is a balance pose. It's also strength and flexibility. It's one of the bigger, stronger poses in the practice. Arm is up, reach that hand up, lift that leg up. Feel what you feel, notice what you notice, be in your body. Really grab the floor with the foot. Lift that leg, take one more breath. You're going to bend the standing knee to bring the tension out there, and then allow that rotation in the hip joint, bringing yourself down. Let's take ourselves, let's shake, shake, shake. Shake and move and shake and move. Do whatever you need to do. Get your sillies out, get your giggles out, get your wiggles out. And lots of communication here with the nervous system. All right. So if you do have a chair and you'd like to put your legs up the chair to help relax the back, if you brought one over, or if you have a wall that you have access to, you could also use the wall we'll come down onto the floor for the Shavasana. So when you come down, reaching to the side, keeping yourself safe. So it's up to you if you do want to be up against a wall or put your legs up a chair or put a bolster underneath your body. Do whatever feels good for you. And if you'd like to bring your knees into your chest to roll out your back or come into a happy baby to settle your back from anything we just did and go to a more linear ending after we came out of that right side Ardha. Bring yourself to a place of balance, letting everything settle, releasing, letting go, and going back to your breath, following your breath.
So gently begin to wiggle the fingers, the toes, the ankles, the wrists. Slowly, with your eyes closed, move slowly and feel your body going through the movement of bringing the knees into the chest. Feel what it feels like to compress the abdominal area with the top of the quadriceps, pressing into your belly, and that presses the low back into the floor, adds flexion to the lower back. It's usually, for most or for many, relieving. For some, of course, if it's not, you wouldn't want to do this. And then bring yourself onto your right side. Pushing yourself up to a seated position, leading with that left shoulder. And bringing yourself all the way onto your legs. Sit nice and tall. You're going to bring your hands together. We're going to close the practice with sound. Bringing the hands together, the thumbs touch the sternum bone. Sit nice and tall here, lengthening your spine. We'll close with the Om sound, blending the Ah, the O, and the Take a deep breath down to your belly. Inhale. We bow our heads to each other in Namaste. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me. Oh, wait, let me get my glasses. So that was fun. I hope that was great. Good, Stevie. I love that you loved that. Yeah, that was really nice balance class. You know what I've noticed is that I was teaching 2 classes that were balance focused because I truly believe that balance and posture and alignment are so integral to all of our bodies when we age, and especially when there's bone density issues, fall prevention, or we're not going to completely stop that. So I will say that some of the people that practice with me all the time, I mean, how many there are, whatever that number is, we're still going to fall. We're not going to fall, and people do fall. And just yesterday, somebody was telling me she happens to be, I don't know if she's here, but I'm not going to say her name anyway. So someone that she's 87, I believe, and she was getting dressed, and she said that there was a lot of things about it that were wrong because she was near her bathtub, or she wasn't too close to the bathtub. She was on a tile surface. Anyway, there was a realization on her part of not being in a safe place when this happened, and thank gosh nothing bad happened. She did have to go to the ER, but she was putting on her clothes, getting dressed, and she fell. So I think the last few days for me have been very focused on this orange analogy in our core. So we really think about squeezing our orange, because that's a good one for us to have, that you squeeze your orange, activation, your core support, your balance support, and that whole awareness piece. So today, focusing a lot on the balance aspect of our body and our mind. Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited. The car's packed. I haven't heard my mom and dad arrive yet, so they'll be here any second. Thank you, Sharon. Yes, isn't he adorable? I love him. Thank you, Shannon and Susan. Great. Yeah, so intentional. That's what we need to do. We need that slow, intentional movement. We need to be in our bodies with complete awareness for many reasons. For present moment walking so that we stay safe, to notice our dysfunctional patterns so we can nip them in the bud, or repattern our dysfunctional patterns. So that's really powerful. All right, ladies and boys, if you're out there, thank you for joining me. I will be back next week. It's our last week of this session. This is our 4-week session. I teach in the same manner that I would teach when I'm teaching at my hospital that I teach for. I do teach there still, and I teach the same. So this is a 4-week session. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you all in my next class. For those that come to my Saturday class, there's going to be a link to recorded classes, because I probably won't be able to go live from Yosemite, but if I could, I would. Anyway, all right, thank you so much for joining me. Have a great rest of your day.